Welcome to another edition of Courtside with Rob and Washut. But before we head over to the arena, I want to give a big thank you to our sponsors of the show, Group Therapy Bike Tours and Slim Chickens. We'll start with Group Therapy. They are all in on the Nebraska basketball wave. Head over to grouptherapybiketours.com and book your ride today for all of your pregame, post-game, whenever game, birthday party, wedding, family reunion, corporate event. They have a 15-person trolley ride, a 6-person mini bike for whatever event you want to celebrate. And like I said, it is full force in Nebraska. If you've gone to a Nebraska game, I'm sure you've seen the trolleys riding around the Haymarket and downtown Lincoln. If you go over to grouptherapybiketours.com and use the promo code NebraskaBall, you will save 15% on your first ride. So make sure you head on over there and support our great sponsor. It's a ton of fun. I've been on it several times. Could not recommend it enough. Now over to our other sponsors, Slim Chickens. Bill Hooks and his wife Stacy are diehard Nebraska fans, and they couldn't wait to jump on the Nebraska basketball train. Locally owned Slim Chickens has 2 locations, 84th and Old Cheney and 16th and Pine Lake. Slim Chickens features a variety of options with fried and grilled chicken tenders, wings, salads, wraps, sandwiches, chicken and waffles, and southern sides. What makes Slim's different? Well, they have over 17 different dipping sauces for guests to choose their favorite. Slim Chickens is available for dine-in, drive-thru, or delivery via their online ordering. Check out Slim Chickens app and start earning rewards today. Slim Chickens is always a favorite for large gatherings and tailgate parties, especially Nebraska basketball tailgate parties, and let them do the cooking for you. Slim Chickens is moving forward, and they are expanding to the north side of Lincoln soon, so keep an eye out for that. Stop into your local Slim Chickens restaurant today for some southern hospitality and see their newly remodeled locations. Again, thanks to all our sponsors. Now let's head over to the arena and take you courtside with me, Rob and Washut.
Welcome again to another edition of Courtside with Rob and Washut. I am here at Williams Arena following Nebraska's 76-57 win over Minnesota. And this was a game, we've seen several times already this season where, the first half's kind of slow going out of the gates. The other team kind of makes their run. Nebraska looks like, they're having some issues on both ends of the floor. The offensive choppy. There's defensive breakdowns. And once again, in the second half, when, it starts to get closer and closer to crunch time, Nebraska finds one answer after another. It started in this game. They're down 8 with maybe about the first 2.5 minutes into the second half, 40-32. And it looks like it was about to get away from them. And then suddenly it started with defensive effort. They get some defensive deflections. They get some defensive stops. And all of a sudden, like clockwork, that leads to more offensive pace, production, open shots. Price Sanford gets a 3-pointer to bounce in, and then it's game over from there. The switch that this team can flip is unlike anything I've seen, certainly from a Nebraska team, and very few really I can remember, just in the way that, they can look like they're just kind of treading water for so long, and then out of nowhere, it just they just dominate. They take full control over their opponent. And this one, like I said, it started when Nebraska locked in defensively. Minnesota hit 9 3-pointers. They were only averaging just under 8 per game. They hit 9 in the first half. And in the second half, they were 0 for 11. So it started with shutting off the 3-point line. Jalen Crocker-Johnson, he had 12 points on 4 3-pointers in the first half. He did not score in the second half. Bobby Durkin had 12 points at halftime. He scored 4 points the rest of the way. So Nebraska forced 9 turnovers. They won the they won the rebounding margin 20-13. They really did everything necessary to create that spark on the defensive end. And like it always does, that gives them the juice offensively. And when you have a guy like Price Sanford shooting the way that he did in the second half, 20 of his 22 points after the break, he's going to get the headlines as he deservingly show. Because not only did he score 22 points, season high 10 rebounds, career high 4 blocks, along with 2 more steals over 34 minutes of work for a team high plus minus of 24. He did everything down the stretch for this team, but collectively, it was the defense that got Price in position to make those plays and held Minnesota within reach long enough for the offense to find its groove. So another total team effort, especially one where Nebraska was so shorthanded. They were down Braden Frager, who did not even make the trip to Minneapolis with that sprained ankle he suffered against Washington. And so what had already been a 7 to 8 man rotation was essentially pared down to 6. Nebraska only played 6 guys over 9 minutes in this game. Over over 6 minutes. Only 6 guys over 6 minutes. Garcia was essentially the 7th guy, and he played 5 minutes and 46 seconds. So, I mean, this was about as pared down of a rotation as we've seen Nebraska use all season long. And we knew it was going to be like that. It was going to be a deal where Cale Jacobson was going to have to play more off the bench. I thought they could get a little bit more out of Garcia, but he struggled really right out of the gates. And so every one of their starters, outside of Berke, played over 30 minutes. Cale played 25, Berke played 27, and really it was just kind of scrap minutes after that. So they really kind of put a lot on that top group, and those guys responded in their own ways. And I guess you look at how Nebraska's done it over these last 3 games. What is most impressive to me is that they're winning the way they did today and dominating, in a game against Washington that they were supposed to win. They're doing it without Rink. I mean, Rink has really struggled with a shot, and we got to kind of figure out what's going on there. If he's just going through a bit of a funk or what it is. But he played almost 33 minutes, was 3 of 11 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3-point range, had 8 points and 6 rebounds, which was solid. But for a guy that they built this roster around, they certainly could use more from him. But in the end, they're 20-0, even without their best player playing to his full potential right now. I think that says a lot about the versatility of this group and the fact that no matter who they play, where they play, there's going to be somebody that steps up. And today it was Price Sanford. It was Nebraska's defense. And, really they were able to kind of pull themselves up by their own bootstraps once again on the road in what has been kind of a hallmark of this season in terms of facing unique adversity every single game and overcoming it with flying colors. I look at the Jamarcus Lawrence, I thought, was kind of an underrated part of this game. He had 14 points. He's 5 of 12 from the field, only 1 of 5 from 3, but 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 5 rebounds. But like he always does, when it comes to, when Nebraska starts getting rolling offensively, it's usually always Jamarcus that's setting the pace. And a big part of why Price was able to get going was because his teammates were constantly feeding the ball, saying, we're riding you, and we're going to get you open. We're going to get you the ball with shots. And so a lot of those really good looks Price hit down the stretch were a product of Jamarcus Lawrence, Sam Hoiberg, guys that were pushing the ball up court and finding him, going out of their way to get him the basketball in rhythm so he could have that type of second half performance. Sam Hoiberg, interesting enough, he played just under 37 minutes. He had 14 points. That's 4 shy of his career high. And he was really kind of the only source of offense early on. I think he had all 14 of those in the first half when everybody else was struggling. Price had the big game, but he had 2 points on 2 free throws and was 0 for 2 from the field in the first half. So really it was Sam that kind of helped keep Nebraska's head above water through the first 20 minutes. And what's crazy is, so he had 14 points, 7 assists, 4 boards, and he did all that with what he said, fighting a bit of an illness. Like, he wasn't feeling all that hot. And he credited kind of he said he had a slow start, which this 14 points suggests otherwise. But, he said that did impact him a little bit to start this game. So like everybody else, it seems right now, there's a little bit of a bug that these guys are fighting, but it didn't stop him, man. For Sam to be sick and still play 37 minutes and have that type of production, it says he kind of embodies just what everybody else does on this team with the grit and ability to fight through adversity. So you just can't say enough about everybody that stepped on the floor. Cale Jacobson, almost 26 minutes off the bench, 7 points, and he had a couple big time shots. When Nebraska first started that comeback early in the second half, it really was sparked by a Cale Jacobson 3-pointer that kind of got the lid off of him a little bit. And he's 3 of 4 from the field, had 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Was plus 11 over his 26 minutes. So that was a for a situation where you need everybody to have a positive impact, for Kale to step up the way that he did in a game that we knew he was going to have to carry a much bigger workload. Certainly is a big part of Nebraska being able to do what it did. So really, you just can't say enough about what this team has done to this point of the season, what they did today, the fact that they can go on the road and play in a venue at the Barn where Minnesota has been really good. Their record, I don't think, is nearly indicative of how well coached and sound of a team they are. As short-handed as Nebraska was, Minnesota was down 2 starters. Kate Tyson looked like he rolled his ankle. He's their best player, averaging 20 points per game. Looked like he rolled his ankle in the second half, only played 10 minutes after halftime. So they were kind of going through their own lineup issues. But, this is a place where they've played really well. They beat Indiana here. They beat Iowa here. And they just, I think of their losses, a bunch of them were by 1 score or in overtime. So again, they're a team that's kind of struggled from a wins and losses standpoint, but they're tough. And I think everybody looked at this game as kind of a dangerous one, just because it's in a venue where Nebraska had only won 3 times in Williams Arena since joining the Big Ten in 2011. This is just their 4th win in Minneapolis since joining the conference. So it's been a rare feat to win in this venue, and to do so with so much stacked against them, just in terms of their available lineup, was really a character victory in every sense for this group. I'm going to sign off for right now. I got to hit the road, head back to Lincoln before jetting off to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Fly out of Lincoln on Tuesday. Hopefully all travel goes accordingly for what is now a absolutely massive regular season game, where 20-0 Nebraska faces Michigan, who's as good as any team there is in college basketball. And we've learned a lot every single time this Nebraska squad takes the floor, and you can bet we're going to learn a whole lot more come Tuesday night in Ann Arbor. For now, signing off the courtside with Robin Washut. Thanks again to our sponsors, Group Therapy Bike Tours and Slim Chickens, and we'll see you again.